Who's still remodeling like they were 10 years ago? To me, 10 years was nothing, right? It was like yesterday. Well, stop, okay? I mean, just stop. Are you looking for the right locations that you should be concentrating on? How about any lease term changes that you've done recently? Or you just keep peeling them off, right? Are you missing the new trends? The amenities that really attract nowadays? How about the new era marketing? Where? And online. What about the latest catchphrases with results, where to advertise and where to advertise online? Well, tonight, spring is coming. You asked for this, so we provided. We want to welcome back this lifetime Olympics rehabber, author, plus a new book now, and tool inventor and updater in all things rehab, the professional, Mr. Rehab, Pete Youngs.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's always great to see you. How's everybody doing tonight? Great. Good. So we're going to get right to it and everything so that we can end up getting all the information that we can. One of the things that, well, both of the things that I'm going to be talking about tonight are going to be the SWAT system, which stands for Secret Ways and Techniques, and also this is a book that I introduced probably 3 or 4 months ago. It was at the mid-year conference that National RIA had, and it's my 4th one that's made the #1 bestseller on Amazon. This one's called Newest Trends in Rehab Properties for Next Generation Buyers. And so I was really hitting that marketing really well, and you know, it made #1, and I was all happy about it. And then one of my good friends, and he's also somebody who's going to be in Washington for every one of us and everything, Jeff Watson. Jeff Watson came out with a new book, and so I saw that he was advertising his, trying to get it to where it was going to end up making, you know, top spots and everything. And so I thought, well, I don't want to compete with Jeff because Jeff's awesome. You know, I've known Jeff for years. And his book's called Boaz on Business and everything. So anybody that wants to end up looking into that and everything, that's a really good book, and Jeff's a really good guy. It's Boaz on Business by Jeff Watson. And he's one of the people that end up lobbying with Charles Tassel and a bunch of other people, Anna, that are all going up there and taking care of that. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Pete Youngs with an S, okay? If you Google Pete Young, then you're going to get a baseball player, and that's not me. Okay, I did play baseball and everything when I was a kid. I played all kinds of sports, but I'm not that guy. I'm the guy who ends up teaching people how to rehab properties for about 50% off. And I started right out of high school, so that was a long time ago. And I started a painting and remodeling company. Eventually, the painting and remodeling company became to where it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I ended up getting all kinds of bigger contracts. So I went into the general contracting business, and about the time I went into the general contracting business in 1986, my brother Tony ended up going to a real estate seminar, which some of you in here look old enough, but some of you don't, for a guy named Dave Delgado. All right, for those of you who are old enough, then when you saw this infomercial that was one of the first infomercials on real estate that people were seeing, it was where John Davidson from the Hollywood Squares was interviewing people in front of Diamond Head and Waikiki Beach on the Hawaiian coastline. Who remembers anything about Dave Delgado or that show? Okay, me and my brother were on that show. Tony was he was a featured person on it for a number of years, and he was using that person's, Dave Delgado's books and tapes and everything, the foreclosure side of it, to end up finding properties and stuff. I had a painting and remodeling company turned into general contracting company. So he borrowed the money from our dad to end up buying his first couple of houses. He ended up coming to me to help fix up the houses, and then eventually we ended up having a partnership, and for over 18 years, we ended up doing what they call boot camps for Ron LeGrand, Russ Whitney, Robert Kiyosaki, and all of the people that we were on parts of some of them's television shows and everything. So once we got a little bit of where people had heard the names, then we decided to start going out and teaching on our own. Because there's a big trend out there. The trend is that people end up liking to sell $30,000 and $40,000 and $50,000 worth of real estate education. And my thing is that these people that are selling a lot of this stuff, if it's not the person who's selling you the real estate information, if they're not the one who's teaching it, they're paying somebody else to do it for them. Okay, so just like everybody knows that there's a middleman in somewhere, wouldn't you rather end up getting it right from the source? And the thing is that though we were making a lot of money teaching boot camps for these TV gurus for 18 years, the money was great, but they were, okay, so yeah, we got to fly in first class sometimes, but they were flying in private jets because they were charging a big bunch of money and then having us teach it. So we had these bullseyes on our forehead that we had to make it worth the money that they were charging. Well, going on and on and on, we figured we were happy with what we were making, and the thing is we made most of our money after we would teach somebody by doing deals with the people that we taught. And that's where the money is. So for anybody who thinks that somebody who comes up here and has a course to sell and all that they're making money off the course, actually we're not making that much money off of a course because we still have travel and expenses and all that kind of stuff. But really what we're doing is we're just networking on a bigger scale than what you are. Y'all come to a meeting like this. I've been going to meetings like this for 35 or 40 years. And the thing is that I don't have to look for deals anymore because deals come to me. Now, that's what networking is all about. And the more you end up spending time in this room with these people, the more you're going to get knowledge, okay? Education is the best thing that you can end up doing for your real estate careers. If you're not willing to get some education, then if you're not willing to spend money to learn, you're not going to make as much when you earn. It's just that simple, okay? People who invest in themselves will end up getting better returns because the smart investors are the ones that are making the most money, okay? The big thing is that you don't have to know everything because guess what? Anything that you need to know, there's somebody in here that knows it, okay? That's why I love coming to places like this. Now, I've been coming to Anna's place for years and years and years and years. I come and see Toledo RIA sometimes when I'm not even a speaker. I have flown out here just because of the contacts and the education. Probably 5,000 or more times have I stood in front of a crowd like this over the past 35 years. And I got to say that my favorite place to come is Toledo RIA. And I'm going to tell you the reason why is because if you'll notice, everybody in here that has anything to do with Toledo RIA is like family. They're all volunteers. They all spend their time to do this, and then they hang out together outside of this room. See, I'm used to going to places and people come in and everything, and it's, oh, that's not my job. Oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm not getting paid to do that. These people have made this what it is because they got a fine group of people and they have stuck together. And not only are they investors together, they're friends together. And everybody makes sure that everybody has done well and they take care of their people. So that's why I'm here. Now, that being said, let me end up. Well, you know, there is a place that I pass by. See, I have to fly into Detroit, and there's a place on Luna Pier called Beef Jerky Unlimited. And I stop by there every single time to get beef jerky because you can take the boy out of Georgia, but you can't take Georgia out of the boy. And they have like 40 or 50 different kinds of beef jerky. And that's on my diet. And for those of you who are looking at me going, you mean he's on a diet? Actually, I used to be bigger than this, okay? And for those of you who are thinking, yeah, he is fat, isn't he? No, actually, this is all just knowledge that won't fit up here. Right? So, I'm smart as hell, you just don't know it. But I'll tell you in just a minute. All right, so let me just go and get straight into what's going on. All right, you need to upgrade your cash flow now and everything by using top quality materials to ensure top quality rents and the top quality sales. Okay, let me go ahead and put all this down here so that if you're writing anything or taking pictures, you can do this. All right, some repairs are tax deductible, some aren't and everything. Don't waste your money doing things that will not end up bringing up the value of the house, okay? We just ended up doing something in my own personal house. My wife and I, 4 or 5 years ago, moved. I was in Marietta, Georgia for 58 years. We lived in the same house for 30 some years, raised our son and everything. Now we have grandkids and all that. We sold off a bunch of stuff and moved to Lake Oconee, thinking that that was going to be a really cool, really secret place because it was a well-kept secret, and you know, there's sports figures that live there. There's country singers that live there. They don't live there permanently, but they have places there, and it's a cool place on the lake. But all there is around, there's 6 major subdivisions around the lake, and they start at $1 million and go up to as high as you can even imagine, okay, because of the people who end up living there. I found a fixer-upper in there. Yep, because I could not afford to live there, okay, but I could afford to end up buying that one fixer-upper that was in there, and I got my foot in the door and then figured I'll end up waiting until something comes available, because this is the kind of place where people move in, get their foot in the door, and then they allow 10 more houses to be built at any of these 6 exclusive places and everything. Some of you might have heard of Reynolds Plantation. There's a Ritz-Carlton at Lake Oconee. There's Great Waters. There's a place called Cuskawilla. I live at Cuskawilla, 400 yards behind my house. Well, it's a golf course community. It's private, and it's on the lake. So I have the golf course in my backyard and the lake in my front yard. I did it because I wanted to I wanted to retire on the lake, teach my kids, grandkids fishing and all that. My son, who's 41 now, gave us 3 grandkids. He loves golf. All right, so what we're doing is, y'all know that the Masters are coming up, right? Guess what happens during the Masters? This golf course called Cuskawilla, the guy who is the pro there is John Tillery. He's the coach for Ricky Fowler and a bunch of the other big pros. And he teaches the golf lessons at Cuskawilla. They have a helicopter pad right near my house and everything, and whenever we see helicopters come in, we take the grandkids over there and we end up pulling the golf carts up and see who it is getting off of the stuff. Because what happens is these places, it's exclusive, so it's a 10-minute helicopter ride to the Masters. So have you ever tried to stay at the Masters? It takes like 10 years that you got to get a reservation for a hotel or anything in there. So what they do is all the golfers, this is the best golf course other than Augusta in the state of Georgia, and it's private. So it's a 10-minute helicopter ride. So they rent the places that are vacant in these $1 million and up houses for 3 weeks. Even though it's only a 2-week thing, it's a 3-week minimum, $20,000 a week. So needless to say, we're not going to be there during the Masters. So, you know, I mean, it's just one of those things. But look this up. Arabella, they're building something called Arabella out there. They're building something that's a resort community on the other side of the cove. And so all this movement is going up there. They're building a Rivian plant within 30 miles of and it's an electric truck plant. That's going to house 7,800 people, 7,400 people. They need housing for 7,400 people that are going to work there. All these people that are going to build this Arabella, 120 shops, restaurants, and all this stuff, they're going to turn this secret place into a Lake Tahoe. So what's the thing to do now? Buy all the land you can get your hands on for affordable housing, okay? I can buy properties 10 acres to 25 acres all day long for $10,000 to $15,000 an acre. You cut one road down the center of it with a cul-de-sac in it, put 12 identical houses, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, fenced yard, all the same price, in the 300s, and instead of paying $500 a foot to build a house in one of these subdivisions, you can end up selling these houses for $300, low 300s, and make money. If you want, you can get a builder to partner with you, and you can build to rent, to where you don't even sell them. But the trick is that people are buying all these mom and pop places that are right next to all the farms that have 5 to 30 acres of generations handed down, and the kids are going, you'll offer me $100,000 for this? I got a mobile home on it. I've been looking to get out of Eatonton, Georgia all my life. And we're going around buying these things up and everything so that we can put affordable housing in it. And so, yeah, I might have to move again in 4 or 5 years when it really gets out there. But I don't mind. I go where the money is, okay? And the thing is that what I want to do is I want to teach you how to get enough money to where you can end up letting your money work for you instead of you always working for your money, okay? So some of the things as far as fixing things up, air conditioners for an example. I don't buy brand new air conditioners. I'll end up going and get on the internet, and it used to be the Yellow Pages, but but see, I'll do stuff like this. I won't buy brand new garage doors. I won't buy brand new air conditioners and heaters and stuff like that, because I know that the new houses that get built, if there's somebody over there that's a repair truck, write their number down. If they're a repair truck outside of a brand new neighborhood, that means that that air conditioner that's only 2 or 3 years old is not keeping that house cool enough. So what it is the builder put in the least amount of tonnage, and so now it's not working quite good enough. So these people go, well, it's out of warranty, what am I going to do? So the repairman says, you need a new AC unit. And they go, okay, well, you got me. Do you think they throw that old unit away? No, they take those old units away that are 2 to 3 years old and end up storing them, waiting for somebody like us to call them up on the phone and say, hey, I'll pay you your going rate to install it if you'll come and sell me one of your 3-ton units that would be perfect for my rental. Do you follow me? And so instead of $4,000 or $5,000, you may end up getting one for $1,700 plus installation. Okay? What's the worst thing about garage doors that they replace? They replace them because the bottom panel is done. They could be 3 or 4 panels, okay? But they always talk you into replacing the whole door. I call up people that replace garage doors and say, hey, do you got 4 panels that, I don't care if they're painted the different color or not. I'll pay you to come and install those 4 panels no matter what color they are. I know you got them for free because they keep them, right? And so you end up saying, I'll buy those from you for you know, whatever discount you want to give me and everything, and pay you to install them. And then I'll paint them or hire somebody to paint them, okay? So there's all kinds of little tricks to end up doing stuff to where you can save money, all right? I offer contractors bonuses if they end up finished before schedule. I always end up putting the brand names in the actual contract. I don't want to end up telling somebody I want Bear paint, and then they end up showing up with you know, Walmart. What is that stuff called? Just whatever their paint is, Paint Perfect or something. I have a picture of it here in just a minute. But anyway, another thing, and I'm going to skip through because y'all have been looking at this. I know you've read it and everything. I don't have to tell everything. But one of the ways that I get homes that nobody else is doing, okay? How many of you have heard that somebody didn't have an heir, so they ended up leaving everything to the church? You ever heard of that? Okay. So what would happen is if you went and handed out your card during the business hours of a church, you know they all have somebody that works at the office hours, not going there when it's you know, church time, okay? But you go there and you say, hey, here's my card. What I do is I buy houses and fix them up. And most of the time I either rent them or sometimes, you know, I end up flipping them. But basically, if anybody has left you an asset that they're not in the real estate business, do you understand? They're not in the renting. They don't know how to make it cash flow and all that. So you end up saying, if somebody ends up giving you a piece of property and you would like to liquidate it for cash and use that to put new trailers in to make it bigger, to make a new wing, to build a baseball field or a soccer field for the kids, you know, I buy houses. If somebody donates one and you want to liquidate it for cash, call me. If they don't have one yet, if somebody donates, then your number's on file. How many of you like that idea? Okay, so it's just a little different. All right, I'm going to put this down too real quick, all right? So by mastering techniques, you get people to create quotes. Ask for quotes. Don't ask for estimates. Why? If you ask for an estimate changes. Every time that you get an estimate from somebody, it's more money when it comes down to time to pay. Do you follow me? Yep. Who in here sells insurance? Okay. When somebody calls you up, they end up saying, hey, can you give me a quote? You give them a quote, that's what they pay. All right? He gets the information, and he ends up saying, this is what it's going to cost you, and that's what it cost you. So when somebody ends up saying, what do you mean you want a quote, not an estimate? Say, well, you know, I can understand there might be 5% here and there and everything, but I don't want you to end up quoting me something just to get the job or give me an estimate to get the job, and then it's going to cost me $6,000 more before you finish the job. So I want a quote, okay? I want to know what it is. And the best way that you can do that is take the forms that are available here that you can end up going and actually make a list of what it is that you want done to the house and tell them you want quotes on this, so everybody that comes to you is bidding apples to apples, okay? If you end up just getting people to come over to give you estimates, these people are saying, here's what you need done and here's how much it'll cost. These people say, here's what you need done and here's how much it's gonna cost. If you let them tell you what they're gonna do and how much you're gonna pay them, they're the boss. If you tell them what you want done and then you negotiate the cost, you're the one who's in charge now. Do you follow me? Okay, so I always get 3 quotes, okay, because I always end up knowing that there's a high bid and a low bid. There's about 20% difference between the highest bid and the lowest bid. How many of you gotten 3 quotes and they've been thousands of dollars different? Okay. I end up taking the lowest quote to the best contractor I felt comfortable with, him or her, and saying, if you will meet or beat this price, I'll consider you over the other 2. Okay. So that's automatically, since you're negotiating, they meet the lowest price that you had, and statistically, you just saved yourself 20% off of the first bid that you got. That's what I do as a general contractor, okay? I had several, gosh, I don't even want to know how many, but I had a lot of crews working for me. And when the '96 Olympics came to Atlanta, I ended up running all the crews that did the Olympic Village around Bobby Dodd Stadium. So those were the frat houses that people were living in. If you think that you've run across a nasty rehab, there was things in these frat houses that the science club couldn't identify. Okay, so, but the thing is that, you know, I ended up mastering how to end up getting people to do what I needed to get done for a price I was willing to pay. And with these price lists and everything, I've got a 20-page price list of everything in the world that has to be put into any particular property, and I just broke that. So anyway, oh, thank you. I'll bet you Mr. Rehab could have figured it out. But I do appreciate it. Okay, anyway, so, you know, when you want to buy materials at rock bottom prices, you don't go in and ask somebody for a contractor discount, because a lot of people end up saying, well, are you actually a contractor? And some people say, well, I don't want to end up telling people that I'm a contractor if I'm not, and stuff like that. So go in and just say, I want to open up a cash account. Any place that gives contractor discounts, the way you get on a contractor discount is to get put on their list, their computer list. As long as you're not applying for credit, it doesn't affect your credit rating. So you can go and get contractor discounts at tile stores, paint stores, carpet stores, lumber supply, roofing supply, by going in and saying, I want to open up a cash account. All that means is you can go in and open it up under Pete Young's, or you can use your name if you want. That's supposed to be funny. All right, so, but you don't have to have a company name. Just go in there. What it is, it gets you on their computer. The computer doesn't know whether you're a contractor or not. When it says every Thursday at Sherwin-Williams, send out what's on sale this week for our contractors. If you're on that list, you get the same list that the contractors get. Does that make sense to y'all? Right on. Okay, so, you know, these are just, I'm just going to throw things at you really quick and fast and everything, but they should make a lot of sense to you. Okay, I teach people by video. Everything that I do, I end up videotaping myself doing. Everything from termite inspections and property inspections, such as this. When I'm talking about property inspections, I end up using a list like this, and basically what I do is I end up saying, well, here's how simple it is. And I have a video that you follow, and it goes, go to the kitchen sink. If it's got one, you're good, okay? While you're at the kitchen sink, look at the faucet assembly. If it's missing a hot and cold water handle, you need a repair. Right. You click it on there, okay? And then you end up basically going through everything that it says in this 25-page report, and that's everything that's wrong with the property. You follow me? That's a scope of work that you give for people to give you an estimate on. That's how you set that up, okay? Here's how you know whether you're getting a good price or not. You end up using my price list to see what it costs, and it's based on Home Depot prices, okay? What you could go and buy it for, okay? Now, everything that I end up teaching you, know that you're going to get a contractor discount or at least 20% off, because I don't buy my paint at Sherwin-Williams, even though I might compare it to Sherwin-Williams. I get all my stuff from Home Depot as far as paint, because I get my 20% discount. And there's nothing better than Behr and PPG paints at this point, okay? So if you have a list of everything that's wrong and a list that tells you how much everything that's going to be full retail at Home Depot, then now you have something to, when somebody comes to give you an estimate, you want to beat that by another 20 to 25%, like a general contractor would, okay? A general contractor gets you to agree to pay this amount of money for the work to be done. We turn around and hire other people to do it, and we make money off of them doing it. How much money could you make extra off of your rehabs if you acted as the general contractor? Every time that you hired somebody out, if you knew the secrets and the tips and the tricks to end up making 20% off of the person doing the painting, 20% off of the person doing the carpeting, or the hardwoods, or whatever, do you follow me how that would add up? Okay, so that's one of the things that's really cool. All right, now you want to upgrade your cash flow by doing this, all right? And this is coming straight from my book, Newest Trends in Rehab Properties for Next Generation Buyers, all right? Now, replace electric sockets with ones that have USB ports, all right? This is not that more expensive. As a matter of fact, it's preferred, all right? It's preferred. Did you know that the most people that are going to be renting or buying your properties now are a bunch of younger people? They're not as old as I am, okay? The people that I see coming and buying or renting from me, they're not like the people that I've been dealing with for the past 30, 40 years, okay? Everybody that I grew up with wanted a place where they had a mortgage. They wanted a place where they could put roots down. They wanted a job that they were going to go to every day, pay for this house. After 15, 30 years and everything, this house was free and clear, and they had that same job, and everything was great, okay? It's not like that anymore. Nowadays, you have to appeal to people that don't want to be anywhere for more than 6 months or 12 months at a time, okay? The other thing is they're all electronic, okay? They want to be able to, if they're sitting on the sofa, they want whatever plugs are around to have the USB ports and the C ports and all of that stuff, so that they can be charging while they're doing it, because they're running every part of their life off of electronics, okay? And they need to be charged up because they do it in their car. They do it in parking lots. They do it everywhere, okay? So just keep that in mind. Grocery delivery. My son is 41 years old, okay? They have 3 kids. Just once I'd like to see them having to run out there with 3 kids and everything in the pouring rain and end up throwing groceries in there and then grab the kids and put them in there. They end up getting in the car soaking wet and all that. We go over to babysit the grandkids and we end up saying, okay, so y'all are out of town, but Barb's going to stay here. I'm going to run to the store and get some stuff because we need some stuff. And they go, oh, no, don't do that. What do you need? Well, the kids are complaining that they don't have this, 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 and this, and everything. Okay, don't worry about it and everything. An hour later, somebody rings the doorbell. We go open the doorbell, and there's the groceries. Okay? They don't do that. You know? They're not, when you can end up picking up your phone and getting your groceries brought to you, why would you go to the store in the rain? Okay? Do you see what's going on here? It's a whole different ball game nowadays. You need to be near transportation. They don't want to drive all the time. A lot of people like to party. A lot of people like to hang out with people like them, okay? They want public transportation. They want places that have those scooters that you can jump on and drop it off and everything. They want bus lines. They want every kind of public transportation because they don't want to drive and everything. Traffic's a bummer, okay? We all know that, all right? Today's renters and people that are buying, they want the best Wi-Fi in there. So put the best Wi-Fi in there. You got to make sure that food can be delivered there, okay? Because they're not necessarily going out and doing it, okay? They don't want long-term leases. They don't want long-term, they don't want a mortgage. They don't know if they're going to be there 2 years from now, okay? They don't want to end up saying, I want to be here for this amount of time and stay there. They want to be where, hey, if something comes up, I want to be able to just pick up and go. Right. The other thing is don't put me in a 55 and up neighborhood if I'm 40, okay, or I'm 30. I want to be around people that are my age, that have kids like me, that have pets. I want places that we can work out. I want places that we can walk our dogs, common areas that we can hang out with people and stuff within walking distance, okay? A lot of us older people just wanted privacy, okay? So smart appliances, they want everything being able to be run by their phone, okay? They do. They want to walk in. They want to be on the plane. They want to be on the plane coming to Ohio knowing that it's snowing, and they end up on the plane turn their heater on so that the house is warm when they get home, okay? Me, I'm still the kind of person who has to go in and turn it on. But then again, I wasn't like my dad and everything, and where I'd turn the stuff off while I was out of town, because one time he did that and his pipes froze in his attic, and we were on a 7-day cruise for National RIA, and my dad was well in his 80s at this time, and it froze the little copper water line that was running through his attic coming down to his refrigerator. That's under pressure. So when it thawed, it sprayed, which ended up soaking the entire ceiling of the second floor, which fell onto the ground. Then as that got soaked, it dropped down to the basement. We dropped him off after 7 days, and there was water coming out of his garage. And he ended up going, what am I going to do? Guess what, Dad? I teach mold remediation. What's your deductible? He says my deductible is $5,000. I said, good, we're going to end up having your house rebuilt for $5,000. He says, how are you going to do that? I said, you watch. I said, because in my class I teach that this has to be dried out within 24 to 48 hours. And you watch how these people come in and slowly end up putting in their equipment and all this kind of stuff, and I'm going to write letters and letters and letters saying, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, and I'm going to get these letters back that say, oh, we're professionals, we know what we're doing. And I ended up getting $217,000 worth of, they gutted his thing to the studs and had to build it back for his $5,000 deductible, plus whatever improvements that he decided to make. Because I ended up teaching him basically, watch me. Watch this, Dad. You crash airplanes for a living. Watch what I do. I crash the cost of fixing up a house. So anyway, open area concepts, outdoor access for walking, working out places, neighbors of the same age. It's got to be affordable and stuff like that. You know, some of the other things that I end up doing is simply this. I end up running basically a year, sometimes even more, and see what the utilities were on the properties. I'll end up including the utilities because they want to be able to put they want to pay one payment, okay, and it cover everything because it's simple, all right? And I put in my contracts, provided that you don't exceed this amount, then your utilities are covered. If they go over that amount, then they have to pay for it. You follow me? But I've already put it in the study on what's the worst case scenario, and then add 10%, and they're okay with it because they just want to end up pushing a button. That's another thing, is you need to be able to make them be able to pay by transferring Venmo, whatever it is that you want. Have it to where they can end up doing it without it being a hassle. If it's less of a hassle to pay you, you're going to get paid quicker, okay? You don't have to chase anybody down if they've got fingertip access. As far as this, curb appeal, all right? I see loads of houses like this all the time, but then I end up seeing houses like this. I go to the neighbors next door and say, I know that you took pictures of that, Mrs. Kravitz. Some of you get it, okay? Did they end up replacing or removing any of that rotted stuff, or did they go right over the top of it? Because some people go right over the top. And Mrs. Kravitz ended up capturing it all on film. So I know what I'm buying if it looks all fixed up. And I'll buy a fixed up property, but I'll trust but verify, okay? So I always want to look and see whatever it is. Curb appeal is sexy, but you got to make sure that everything's cool. Pressure washing, okay? I don't paint a house unless I have to, okay? The reason being is simply this. Everybody I know is looking for a big score, okay? They want a big paycheck. But from the roots of where I grew up and what I became now that I'm older, I was making an average of $200 to $250 positive cash flow off of a property if I had a mortgage on it, okay? I'm in a position where I don't have many mortgages on any properties anymore, so I have done well. But when I did, I was making $200 or $250 a month positive cash flow when I was buying these things and had mortgages on them, okay? I read this book by a friend of mine, Bob Allen, years ago. As a matter of fact, y'all are so lucky because now y'all have people that for a few $100, they'll end up telling you, this is 30 years of experience. You can buy that right now and not make the mistakes I did over the past 30 years. And people won't buy it. And I go, what in the hell? Because we ended up doing trial and error for 30 years before we figured it out. And the last 15 or 20 years is when we started really making the money because it took us so long to get over the mistakes. Because we would turn to the back of Popular Mechanics magazine and there was a little ad for Robert Allen's No Money Down, Nothing Down book right next to where you bought this little powder that would turn into seahorses if you poured it in water. Do you remember? In the back of Popular Science. But that's how long ago it was that, you know, we were trying to figure this stuff out. Nowadays, you can end up getting somebody to sell you 30 years of experience and everything so that you don't make those mistakes. And I just wish that I had had it. Now, in that book, Robert said, if you're going to rent the property, paint it. No matter what, paint it. Fresh coat of paint gets people in there. If it'll pressure wash, because there's no flake in paint, no nothing that looks damaged on it, I'll pressure wash it for a few $100s instead. Because what does most people want to end up signing if they lease a property? A 1-year lease. You follow me? What's the average cost to paint the outside of a house? $2,100, $2,500, $3,000, okay? And that's in, you know, that's not in great big neighborhoods or expensive neighborhoods, but that gives you a pretty good idea, right? Yeah, so even at this, if you're making $200 a month positive cash flow, and you paint the house because somebody said you should to rent it, and you go, hey, I got a renter in my house and everything. And you go, great, how much are you going to make on it? Well, I'm making $200 a month positive cash flow. What did you pay to get it ready? Well, I painted it and it was $2,500. So, in other words, you just zeroed your cash flow by painting that house that could have been pressure washed. Do you follow me? Yeah. So if somebody ends up saying, well, you know, I'd rent the property provided that it was painted, then I go, I'll paint it if you sign a 2-year lease, because then I'm at least going to get $100 a month positive cash flow, okay? Don't ever negotiate yourself out of a profit. Follow me? Don't negotiate yourself out of a profit. I always do light cosmetics myself, okay? This is one of the things that when we used to go out and do property tours, I would end up showing people, this is a pump-up sprayer, and this is 100% bleach that you can get from Walmart. Great value bleach. Don't ever buy low splash bleach because it won't spray through a pump-up sprayer. And everybody ends up, you know, I tell this trick to, and people go, I couldn't get it to come out the pump-up sprayer. That's because you bought low splash bleach. That's for your laundry, okay? Sure, you want to buy laundry bleach because outdoor bleach is just indoor bleach with a higher price tag on it, okay? Go get the great value bleach, and don't get the low splash. If you spray it on a weathered deck or fence and count to 10, it will turn to amber-colored wood right in front of your eyes. You don't even have to rinse it off, okay? And then you can use that same pump-up sprayer to seal it with sealer that you get from Home Depot for 20% off, and it'll last you for 2 years. And you've got like $100 into it, instead of having somebody come out there and pressure wash it and reseal it and everything and cost you $600 or $700. That's a $500 tip right there. Okay? How many of you did not know that this weathered look, that's a form of mold? The weathered look on wood is nothing but mold. That's why, and see, you're not really supposed to use bleach for mold, but everybody in the world does. If you spray bleach on mold, it disappears, right? That's what that is. And all that is I sprayed that with 100% bleach. You just got to water the grass around the deck or the fence so that what drips off doesn't kill the grass, okay? I never pay skilled labor prices for unskilled labor, okay? That's one of my biggest quotes. Never pay skilled labor prices for unskilled labor. If you can get somebody from a high school or a college student to come, or somebody who's advertising, I just need some jobs and everything right now, okay? I'll do hourly work, whatever. Don't end up hiring a contracting company to come in, because they're going to end up saying, well, let's use painting a house, okay? You get a $5,000 bid to paint the house, and they're going to come in and they're going to tape things off, and they're going to caulk, and they're going to this, that, and the other, and cover the bushes with plastic. Are you going to be paying somebody $40 or $50 an hour to do that? You will if you end up giving them $5,000 to do it. What if you did what they do? They're going to have a $15 or $20 an hour person end up taping off the windows, doing the covering up of stuff, taping things off. And I got a bunch of tools that show you how to do this for under $29 at Home Depot. So if you can hire somebody to do the grunt work, you can buy the paint for 20% off, then run an advertisement or go to Sherwin-Williams and say, I'm looking to hire a professional paint spray person to come and spray my prepped house. It's already been pressure washed. It's already been taped off. It's already been caulked, okay? I have the paint. I'll pay somebody $500 to come and spray the house with my paint. Number one, they don't care. They're going to put it on good because they're not paying for the paint. It's going to be professional. You're going to get a discount on the paint. And who won't paint a house, the body of the house, for $500 for a day? Because even me in my shape can still spray the outside of most any house in 4 or 5 hours. That's $125 an hour. Do you know people who won't work for $125 an hour? You know, I mean, I find myself wishing that I was getting $125 an hour for some of the things that I do. So anyway, there's just some simple tips here. Always buy quality materials, otherwise you're going to end up doing it twice. Color Place, that's the stuff that I was talking about. Color Place is not a bad paint. It's not a bad paint at all. You can get it at home, at Walmart. The thing is how many of you don't really know anything about these off-brand paints? Raise your hand if you don't know. That right there, Color Place, is normally a quality paint. It's made by Sherwin-Williams or Glidden or PHP or something, and that particular batch didn't meet their requirements. So instead of lowering it from A100 to Pro Plan or something like that, they auction it off to a retailer that's going to put their own label on it, and they sell it to them for like $2 a gallon. Okay? But it has to say who it was made by and what batch number it was on the back of it. So you can go Dutch Boy, Color Place. You can look on the back of it and it says this paint was manufactured by Sherwin-Williams. Okay, so it is good paint. And it's like, what, $11 a gallon? Even cheaper if you buy it in a 5-gallon. But, you know, you're going to get what you pay for, okay? Porter paints is one of the biggest, most expensive ones that you can buy. But you know what? I end up going to Home Depot, get my 20% discount, and Behr, for my own house, I use Behr Marquee. For my rental houses, for my flip houses, I use Behr Premium Plus. Okay? I end up getting it for a reasonable price. It's probably half what I get charged at Sherwin-Williams, and I always get my bonuses because of my RIA group. I have, yes. If I'm doing just a very quick minor repair, then yeah, I've been known to use it, especially when the property's already sold, and I'm just going in to touch up something. But you know, I mean, let's be honest, okay? I mean, if I wasn't honest with you, then I wouldn't be telling you the real deal. Yeah, I have used it in occasions. I won't use it in a high dollar area, okay? And I have found that I can't touch up with that. So it really hurts me in the long run. So I stick with the Behr products. Okay, so This property right here, it had some rot that was coming down there, and guess what? We ended up cutting some of this stuff out. We replaced just the rotten part instead of actually ripping everything out. And if y'all Google my name and look up inexpensive repairs with Bondo, one of the things that I'm sort of known for is I ended up getting Bondo from the auto parts stores into Home Depot. It's in the paint department now to repair rotten wood. Because it's sandable, it's paintable, and I use it anywhere that I have rotten wood. I scrape out the old rotten wood and I replace it with Bondo, and it's sandable and it's paintable. I'll go over it a little bit more and everything when I've got time to teach you exactly how I put it in plastic bags and squirt it like I'm decorating a cake and stuff like that. But it's sandable and it's paintable and it's permanent, okay? So if I have to replace a small amount of wood that's under there and I end up putting it in and secure it with Bondo, the stuff that they end up using for cars, so you know it's sandable, you know it's paintable, and you know it's permanent, okay? Then I know that it's gonna be a great repair. Every day that I drive by Home Depot, I look for something that they've got leaning on the outside that says, we're getting rid of this. It's normally $2.99 a foot. We're selling it for 60 cents a foot. How many of you see what I'm talking about when you drive through? They've always got something on there. If I don't need it at the time, but it's a good price, I buy some of it anyway and store it because I will need it, okay? Even if I only buy a 10 foot by 10 foot thing because it's 69 cents. For $69, I can end up having where someone walks in the front door, instead of hardwoods going up to this point, which are gonna get wet when somebody comes in, I'll end up putting this stuff in there for the first 10 by 10 square, so that when people come in, then it's not gonna damage when they come in and shake their umbrella and stuff like that. How many of you like these tips I'm talking about? Okay. So that was a $99 kit for the mantle, and then we bought some pavers and just did that. And then we laid this floor down and everything. That's that for under $700. Okay, here's some of the tools, all right? The reason why I'm talking about this is because on Saturday, I'm gonna start talking about some really cool tools that you can use, and we're gonna go to Home Depot. I'm gonna show you where to get them, okay? There's a million things that people don't know about Home Depot because they're not allowed to tell you. I am, okay? So this right here, this is a 3M hand masker. The blue ones are $19.99. The yellow ones, which are a little bit more heavy duty, they're a little bit more. Don't buy them at a paint store. They're 50 bucks or 60 bucks. Go to Home Depot, okay? Order it online, you'll get the blue one, because a lot of places sell out of the blue ones so fast you have to order them online. They'll have the yellow ones, but so for 20 bucks, and then for $2.99, you get a roll of 12-inch paper. Then you get the blue tape for $3.99 for a roll. That's 60 yards of tape, 60 yards of the 12-inch paper, and the masker. The masker fits in your pocket, the handle, so that if you're on a ladder, see, you don't have to do this as long as you can show people the videos how to do this, okay? But they can tape off a window. Why is it 12 inches? Because windows and doors are 12, 24, 36, 48. Do you follow me? Single strips. If you want to tape off an entire sliding glass window type door, do the border with the expensive stuff and then fill the center up with newspaper. Right. You know, where you go to one of those newspaper boxes and put in a quarter and just take one. Now that's funny right there. I don't care who you are. Yeah, but you know, I mean, you see what I'm saying though. All right, so anyway, these things you can tape off windows, chair rails, baseboards, door trims, the whole 9 yards. Okay, let me show you something else. This faucet and sink installer, those are the coolest things because you can't get your hands up there because of the well. This puts it below the well, and it's got every single thing to take off all of those. Okay, Home Depot, $19.99, and it's made by Rigid, R-I-G-I-D, 19 bucks. All of this stuff you're going to see at Home Depot. Circuit analyzer, okay? Why do I end up wanting one of those? Because if it's $69 for a service call for the electrician to come, and then they charge you for whatever they do afterwards, they're going to have to diagnose first. But for $3.99, you can buy one of these, and for $6.99 or $7.99, you can get one with the GFI clip on it. You plug it into your electric outlets, and it'll tell you whether it's correct or whether it's not. And if you go through and you find 3 that need an electrician, and you call an electrician, it's $69 for the service call plus whatever we got to do. Well, then they come in, you end up telling them, this one's got an open hot, this one's got an open ground, this one's got a neutral and ground reversed. How do you know that? I used a circuit analyzer, not a circuit tester, circuit analyzer. They end up pulling out one that's a little bit more expensive than the one that you just used, and they go, you're right. They're out of there within 15 minutes. They charge you for the service call, and they didn't have to do anything except replace the parts. Do you follow me? Yep. Instead of them being there for 2 hours and everything at $69 plus their time, which, what's an electrician now, 120 bucks an hour? Yeah, okay, so are these money-saving tricks?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, Old English scratch cover. I love this stuff and everything because it makes it look like I ended up doing a $1,200 job on some of the stuff. You know, if I'm trying to save some of this stuff. Shark bites. These things are awesome. They run from $5 to $50 depending on what you're trying to fix with it. But you don't have to have a plumber for them. They're like those things that you used to put your fingers in, and once you put your fingers in, you couldn't pull them out. So I'm not going to say what they are because I don't know if I can get away with it anymore. You know? He has a...
I'm irresponsible.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so it used to be these handcuffs and everything that people talk about. So, you know, I mean, I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not scared to get in trouble. I mean, like, I married a trophy. I married a trophy wife. She just didn't win first place. Now that's funny right there.
I'll let you know.
She's at home remodeling the kitchen. I'll pay for that one. I guarantee it. She said, take me someplace I ain't never been before. I took her to the kitchen. So, what'd you make for dinner? Reservations. Okay. This is a clog buster. 10 bucks. You end up hooking it up to a garden hose. Guess what? Most people go, Pete, if you turn the garden hose on, then isn't that going to be squirting? And don't you need 2 people and stuff like that? No. People don't realize this, but remember the little simple $1.50 pistol grips that you used to put on the end of your hose to wash your car with? If you squeezed it, it was squirting water, and if you let it off, you could drop it and wash your car and then rinse it off. Right. Those have ridges on the end, threads, to where this screws onto the end of it. So you turn the water on, and it doesn't squirt until you squeeze the trigger. You got me? But you got to get the old-fashioned ones, okay, from Home Depot. So you stick that into the toilet, into the drain, and you squeeze it and it fills up like a small football and then releases a high pressure stream, which cuts, and it does it over and over and over again until it clears the drain. Okay? $10. Or do you want to spend 93 and it's free? Okay, whatever. That's a commercial. Yeah. So 93 gets you back up free. All right, this is a moisture meter. Okay? You end up taking these, you rub them against the wall. If it lights up and starts telling you there's water behind there, guess what? You end up taking a drill that has a doorknob hole cutter in it. Everybody knows what one of those is? Take a piece of the drywall out and look at the back of it. If there's mold on the back of it, you know you need to replace that drywall. Do you follow me? Without making a big major problem. But this will tell you if there's water in it, okay? If you get water on the floor and it starts to come up and then you're drying it, if you dry it within 48 hours, you won't get mold. How do you know if it's dry? This monitors the drying process, because if it's really wet, it shows 100%. If you put fans and stuff on it, then as it gets drier, it goes down to 70%. It goes down to 40% until it gets to be where it shows that it's dry. Okay? So you monitor what it looks like. Or that's how you end up finding mold and wetness. Okay? This is a paper tiger. I end up using the paper tiger. It punches holes in wallpaper. I end up then using Diff wallpaper stripper or blue Downy or Snuggle fabric softener. In a 2-gallon bucket of water, pour a quart in of the Snuggle or Bounty blue fabric softener or Diff wallpaper stripper. Once you end up putting the holes in it, this scores holes in it, and you spray it on there, and it gets behind there and melts the glue so that you can peel the wallpaper. All right, called a paper tiger. All right, these drywall patches, they end up having to where you just peel off the back, stick over the hole, and then mud and sand it. Okay? These run from $3.99 to $15, okay, depending on the size. But you don't necessarily have to end up cutting a bigger hole out and screw it in and tape it and all that. You can get people to fix these things so much cheaper now. All right, so now in closing, let me end up telling you how you end up doing this to next generation renters as well as their people that are buying. And by the way, just before I move on, how many of you have learned enough stuff tonight that you'd be interested in coming to the Saturday? Raise your hand. You have a form in front of you, okay? The form in front of you tells what the information is for Saturday, and I am going to end up giving the EPA-based mold course. You do end up passing the test. I've never had anybody not pass the test. Okay, because I allow questions during the test. Not that it's hard, okay, but you do have to sit through. I'm going to teach you what mold is. I'm going to show you the difference between a toxic mold and one that's not toxic. But the thing is that once you go through this mold class, then you can go to any listed bank-owned property that's vacant. I only do this to vacant properties because I don't want it to come out of some individual's pocket. But banks that have loads of properties, okay, they're sitting on a bunch, because if they let all that they were sitting on onto the market, nobody's property would be worth anything. Do you follow me? So they're just trying to dump these things because they can't loan money on non-producing assets. So the more they have sitting as a non-producing asset, the less money they can loan out to make money off of. So they're dying for us to buy these. If it's a vacant property, every single one will test positive for mold. And it's an independent laboratory that you send this to. I'm just going to certify you to run a machine to collect the samples. You're going to send it off to an independent an independent laboratory. They're going to send back 20 or 30 different molds that are in the air every single time. How many have been sitting by a window and seen the sunbeam come through and you see billions of particles floating in the sunshine? Everybody seen that? Those are molds. Molds, toxins, allergens, and bacteria floating in the air. Every room has them. There's only two ways that the EPA sees it, is elevated and non-elevated. The first test is always elevated because there's nothing to test it against. Once you get an elevated test, you put in a different offer based on what it's going to take for a mold remediation company to come in and fix this problem. Because the laboratory says this is what's wrong with it. You didn't say it, but if you get an estimate on what a mold remediation company says it's going to cost to get rid of that mold, that's how much you ask for a discount on the listed price that they have. Do you follow me? And I always do it in the kitchen because that's the most expensive part. Now, since I do this all over the United States, I'm not going to end up saying a dollar figure of what you can save, but let's say that it's about 25%, okay? In California, where properties are $1 million plus, I've had somebody get $250,000 off because of a mold test, okay? Here, we've had Alice get $30,000, okay? So it just depends on what it is that you're looking at. But it's like Anna said, once they end up having that estimate and that lab report that you're not responsible for because it's not you that says it, you just took the sample, okay? Then they have to, by law, give a copy of that to everybody else. And they don't want their property labeled with something that the lab puts. If you end up having someone who's allergic to mold in this property, they could have serious health, even death problems. The bank doesn't want that liability because they don't have mold specialists. They don't know that it's not a dangerous mold. You know, and I'm going to go over all of that with you. So if you haven't already, fill out your form for Saturday, okay? Let's go ahead and do that.
Because we do have a limited classroom. Our classroom is only half this size. So please, if you're interested, fill them out. And Toledo REA, to make it comfortable for you, will provide your breakfast and your lunch.
Oh, wow. Hey, I'm coming. Yep. 42,000. That's even better. That's great. All right. So anyway, so I'm just going to run through this real quick, and y'all can take a picture of it if you want. 90% of Gen Z renters use the internet, okay? So if you're advertising the old-fashioned way, you need to be advertising on TikTok, on Facebook. Hire somebody to do it. TikTok videos are a major thing. Advertise on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Post a virtual tour online. They don't want to get off of their couch. If they see something that they like on video, they'll rent it right there. You can have your application right there where they can fill it out online and send it. I've rented properties that they've never even come to because of the videos. Okay? A 60-second 3D video of all the phone amenities. Use QR codes to direct them to your forms to fill out. Rental application can be done online. I make it to where they can end up doing rent payments or house payments and even repair requests and everything so that I don't even have to talk to them. Okay, so make sure that your website's cell phone friendly. These are some of the things that they end up preferring. Oh, and this is something they ended up saying that that I've invented some things. Well, this is a roller cover cleaner, and I'm just going to end up letting this play through. But I have something that I have the patent on that will clean a roller cover in 10 seconds. And those of you who have sat there and tried to clean a roller cover out will know that it takes forever. But if you just watch this, and look, see, I have lost weight.
That device is the best thing in the course.
Yeah, it's really cool. All right, it's only 10 more seconds. So you just hook it up to any garden hose or even a laundry sink. And we'll be closing this thing down here in just a minute. Oh, I'm going to get wet because I'm in a hurry. So watch how fast this is. Now it's clean. That paint's on the outside. See how, look at that. Under 10 seconds. So anyway, that's just one of the things that I have. All right, so now, here's something that I have. Just real quick, because I'm going to end up going over this. This is called my SWAT system, okay? Secret Ways and Techniques. I end up having this, and it's got, it was 7 courses, and I just ended up mixing everything into one. So it's Riches in Rehab and REOs. That's teaching you how to find the properties that I just said that I can get 25% off of by doing the mold tests and stuff. The tools and training. See, I used to end up doing a 4-hour tools class before we went to Home Depot. Okay, so that's that on film. I have 50 videos in here. 50 videos, because you learn more by watching me do something than anything. Okay, so I do over 100 tools. I have a copy of the EPA mold course, because anybody who comes to my course and ends up getting certified, then you can end up having your workers watch me teach this, and if you vouch for them that they watched this in front of you because you wanted to hire them, because you wanted an extra 6-figure income doing mold businesses, and you were going to charge $250 or $300 or $400, whatever the cost is in this area, and then pay somebody $100 for every test that they do for you, and you just set it up, you make money off of them doing it because you taught them how to do it. I know people that do this all the time, but anyway, I have the lead-based paint course in there because I'm EPA certified to teach it. The RRP rules and regulations, do-it-yourself secrets on prepping houses. I show you actual footage of me going in probably 6 different houses and doing the renovations. I give you the materials and labor costs that are updated every January. I teach you how to end up using luxury countertops for pennies and stuff of that nature. I have a forms disc in there, an offer making software so that you can key in what you're going to do, and it prints out room by room what it's going to cost. Okay, so that software alone is worth $500. Also, since I don't do live 3-day boot camps anymore, I filmed my 3-day boot camp. Okay, and that's including the trips to Home Depot and stuff like that. So it was my $3,000 boot camp that Ron LeGrand, Russ Whitney, and Robert Kiyosaki's people were selling. And I would teach it with my brother, okay? And then I started doing the rehab things on my own, and he ended up doing his part and everything. So this is a $3,000 boot camp filmed. And so I have all, what I did is there's 25 videos on this 128 gig right here. And then what I did for this, y'all will be the only people in the world that have this because I put this together for this presentation. I put 25 more videos of my favorite things to do to properties, 25 hours of more videos on how I end up saving money. And instead of $19.97, which is what it used to be on my website, I used to end up doing it for $997, and I told Anna that I would do it for $497. Because nobody ends up coming in anymore and gives you an affordable product that you can actually make money on, and it's $497. I got, and the first 10 people will get a copy of my book. I'll write my cell phone number on the inside cover of this for you to take home with you. Those of you who want to know, is it really my phone number? You can ask anybody in here. They have my actual cell number, and it comes to me, okay? It doesn't come to anybody else. Anna, did you have anything you wanted to?
Just want to make sure, like you said, we're giving you lunch and dinner, and the first 10 get the book also. I just want to let you know it is limited. What he's got for you is unlimited, but our classroom is limited, so I know most of you want to get certified, so please put your paperwork in, because I have to go order the food.
That's right. We need to know a head count. And so regardless of whether you end up taking advantage of this steal of a deal, I have never, ever, ever sold it for this price, ever, this low. And this has 25 more videos on here that have never put out. I did this last week. I put them together from my favorite stuff. Yes? Go.
They're beating me up back here, so the first 5-year course can come to the Saturday certification included.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right, so if you want to end up taking advantage of that, then you go right back there to the back in the corner, that far right corner. And thank you very much. I hope that you learned a lot. Please at least sign up for the Saturday. If you don't want to take this with you, then, you know, I'm not going to force you. It is the best deal you're ever going to see. Here's something that I'll end up saying for you. If you take this home with you and it doesn't blow you away, then bring it back on Saturday when you come to the Saturday class, and you'll get a refund if it doesn't do everything that I say. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.